most subject today in our world probably is energy. And certainly today we are going to discuss a lot of facets of energy as it affects us professionals in whatever we are doing. In physics, they say energy is a property of objects which can be transferred to other objects or converted into other forms of energy but cannot be destroyed or created. Why do we need to conserve energy? Most of the energy used comes from fossil fuels like petroleum, coal, etc. that provide electricity and gas to power our growing energy needs. These resources are non-renewable. Therefore, at some point in time, there is every likelihood that they will be depleted. We cannot recreate them. With this singular aim, Bureau of Energy Efficiency, a government organization, was created in the year 2000. Why do we need to conserve energy? Most of the energy used comes from fossil fuels like petroleum, coal, etc. that provide electricity and gas to power our growing energy needs. These resources are non-renewable. Therefore, at some point in time, there is every likelihood that they will be depleted. We cannot recreate them. With this singular aim, Bureau of Energy Efficiency, a government organization, was created in the year 2001. Now this organization was given the response. However, there are presently no guidelines to guide the builders or operators to regulate or monitor indoor air quality in our buildings. Similarly, the absence of strict rules for restriction of high energy consuming appliances and systems causes unnecessary increase in demand for power. With each building contributing small excesses, the state power demand increases substantially. Ventilation and air conditioning, HVAC.
The Government of India in 2001 proclaimed this, assented this Act of Energy Conservation 2001. You can read section. In various sections, it has been, as our welcome energy told, BE has been established to look after this implementation act at the central level, and various state governments are supposed to give one agency full responsibility to enforce this act in the states. And EMC has become, as per section 15D of this act, the SDA, that is State Designated Agency, to implement the act in the state with a distinct but interrelated role of developing energy efficiency and energy conservation, facilitating like what we are doing now, and also regulating when some regulations come with the regulations. Very distinct but interrelated role for an SDA as per the Act. And Ecbc, Energy Conservation Building Code, is an offshore. It's an enabling provision of the Act. It's like a legal support. That is section 14C states that Government of India has to publish Energy Conservation Building Code. They published it in 2007, first amendment came in 2008, and there is another stipulation that each state government shall or must notify this particular code by as a rule. But there is a provision that state governments may, or if they require, can amend the code according to the geoclimatic conditions. We also made our consultations, and we also made certain proposed amendments. And what is the purpose of this act? What is the purpose of this code? This code actually gives the minimum requirements for energy efficient design and construction of the building. So only talk about minimum, you can exceed that requirement. And in this code, a building coming under this code is well defined in section 2C of the building code. This code, if you want to buy, it's a published price publication. But Energy Conservation Building Code user guide is freely downloadable, and we have given you the CD.
On a 10-minute question and answer session, which is more of An internal assessment. These marks need not be shared or discussed even amongst your table. All those who have more than 70, kindly raise your hands. 70, this was out of 87. 70, because raise both hands. 70, 70, 70, 70, 60. You deserve a round of applause because you are partially ECBC compliant. 50. 50 and above means it includes 60 and above also. I mean, 50, so above 50 means 60 and above is also included. No, so you can also raise. So we have more hands. Good. So that is also good. Below that we should go home. After the break. After the lunch. See what we covered in the questions. I deliberately did not give you the questions so that you don't change your answers in between. We feel no, that the cheat within us is still alive even at the age of 70. It will be there. So I'll tell you what we covered. When I questioned the concept of having windows and being able to keep it open and allowing the daylight to come in, we were talking about the fundamental concept of building envelope. Because building envelope is something which is very pertinent to our daily lifestyle. How often can we really open our windows every day? Do you really do it? In our air-conditioned environments, we are prone to breathing carbon dioxide that our friends and relatives and family members exhale along with us. Do we allow fresh air to come in? This is as real as it gets when you talk about ECBC, because it's touching your life, our life daily. It is not about something from the moon. Energy conservation is a byproduct, that's what I would tell you. The money that you save by consuming less amount of power, when you implement ECBC to the core, that is a byproduct of having a healthy lifestyle. The very reason why we consider ECBC as a master code to all codes of all green building certification programs, just like ASHRAE, if you look at 90.1 or some other similar codes, what you see is the points mentioned there are not drawn from the moon. They are very real, down to earth and directly connected to our daily life. Most of the tenets which are mentioned in ECBC are practically guiding us. Right now voluntarily, when the notification once it comes, it becomes compulsorily to make sure that we build right. And once we build right, it will be classified as green. Therefore, implementation of ECBC is the easiest way to certify a building as green.
Taking you through is would be about just the background, energy needs in the building, thermal and visual comfort, and why ECBC. In the steps to meet these ECBC compliance, we have ECBC compliance, where compliance approaches could be meet mandatory provisions of section 4 to 8. So section 4.2 talks about envelope, 5.2 talks about Ecbc, 6.2 talks about service hot water and pumping, 7.2 talks about lighting, and 8.2 talks about electrical power. So all these provisions under 4.2, 5.2, 6.2, 7.2 and 8.2 are mandatory in nature. Whether you follow prescriptive approach or whole building approach, you will have to comply with it. There is no bargain. And then you have one is prescriptive approach and whole building performance approach as an overall. So here you have a trade-off for envelope. For example, if you want to have your roof to be super efficient, but your walls for some constraint, you are not able to meet that. So that is allowed as a trade-off in the envelope components only. They will not allow you to trade off in the air conditioning load or chiller COP or these values. And in this process, you will have to provide a minimum performance requirement which will be made by you. So BEE has also published EPI guidelines, how much that EPI should be for this showing compliance. And if we comply to that number, either by prescriptive approach or by whole building performance, our building can be rated as a. What will happen to that 34 degree? It will go up. See, because when in the air you add moisture, temperature drops. If you take out humidity, air temperature will go up. So 34 degree air will become 36 degree. And then that 36 degree at 50% RH will be more probably troublesome. But then you also have an option that with your tap water available to you at 27 degree, you can actually counter currently non-contact type cost effectiveness, first cost effectiveness can be managed, and your operating cost will surely be lower, and most measures will have less than 5 years of payback. So whatever design changes if we do, every measure will have a very attractive payback. And then environmental benefits like global warming, then reduction in use of resources essential for sustainable green design or Ecbc compliant design, all are the additional benefits what we get. So you can use this simulation for building heating and cooling load calculation, energy building performance analysis, building energy management and control design. Because if you want to change or reduce your EPI, you would want to put a control. Suppose there are two strategies. Simple. One, do I need to put VFDs on all AHUs, or do I need to put VFD on my secondary chiller and maybe on cooling tower?
I think the way Shirish has gone into the depth of basics of getting into Ecbc in a very warm and lucid manner, so that everybody could understand the basics and nuances, he deserves a really good round of applause for having given us a very clear insight into what Ecbc means. Thank you, Shirish, for the wonderful presentations you've made all through the day. It's been tiring. We appreciate your presence all the way from Mumbai. Mr. Narayanan, who has been the guiding light of energy management in Kerala, had given us a very clean directive as to how and what Government of Kerala aims through the EMC in the years coming in the areas related